Arne Slot's tactical masterstroke ensured Man City win, but he can't overlook major Liverpool issue. The Liverpool will be feeling pretty pleased with himself on Monday morning, but will know there was one area his side were lucky to get away. With at the Etihad in the 2-0 win over Manchester City, Liverpool waited nearly a decade for its first away win over Manchester City in the Premier League. But when it was finally achieved, there was little fanfare. If anything, it felt almost predictable. Not that those who made the journey down the M62 didn't enjoy themselves, as chants from the away section reminded City of where exactly it stands in the pecking order now, with Liverpool now surely on course to claim its record-equaling 20th top-flight title. Sunday, therefore, felt like a significant win over the side that has dominated English football in recent times, while the Reds established an 11-point lead over Arsenal that is looking increasingly insurmountable. If the win felt straightforward, the manner by which it was achieved certainly wasn't. Liverpool deployed an unorthodox 4-2-4 system with Curtis Jones and Dominik Szoboszlai operating as floating number 10s rather than Arne Slot selecting a traditional centre-forward. It allowed Liverpool to sit deep at times, soak up pressure and spring forward at will. The second goal, with Mohamed Salah feeding the ball to Szoboszlai after a Liverpool counter, felt like the embodiment of what Slot hoped to achieve utilising such a system. It's the first time the Liverpool boss implemented such an approach, and he admitted after the game that he recognised the need to defend against City and adjusted his side accordingly. It showed another side to the former Feyenoord boss, with his flexibility and pragmatism not always replicated by top-flight managers this season. But it paid dividends as Liverpool recorded its lowest ever recorded possession in a Premier League victory. Even Pep Guardiola acknowledged after the game that his side were incapable of breaking Liverpool down, although it wasn't for a lack of trying. City, without the injured Erling Haaland, also spring a tactical surprise and opted to go with a fluid front line that saw Phil Foden start as a false nine ahead of Omar Marmoush, while Savinho and Jeremy Doku provided penetration from the wide areas. On another day it could have worked. In truth, that City didn't get any joy from its forays into the final third summarised where this team is at. It failed to recover from Liverpool's first-half goals, showed promise without any real cutting edge, and still looks like a major work in progress. This City is still a little rough around the edges, and although its attack contained plenty of quality, it lacks the decisiveness and efficiency of recent years, certainly without Haaland. Doku is emblematic of the problem, a terrific player who regularly terrifies opposition fullbacks but lacks a final ball. Liverpool were fortunate that none of his 15 completed dribbles on Sunday resulted in a goal. More accurately, Trent Alexander-Arnold was fortunate. The Liverpool defender had a day to forget at the Etihad, despite coming away with 3 points. Gary Neville expressed his sympathy with the calamitous right-back who Slot eventually had to replace in the latter stages of the game. It was the sort of performance that underlines Alexander-Arnold's defensive deficiencies, which exist whether Jurgen Klopp wants to acknowledge or not. Liverpool's number 66 was beaten 3 times by Doku in the first 5 minutes alone, while Salah and Andy Robertson managed to more competently deal with the tricky City winger. It took until the 40th minute for Alexander-Arnold to stop Doku, by which point his 3 defensive teammates had been forced to intercept crosses after the right-back was bypassed. Virgil van Dijk gave him one of those piercing stares at the start of the second period. The message was clear: get a grip of yourself. What's more alarming is that Alexander-Arnold offered little in possession too, although did play a pivotal pass in the build-up to Szoboszlai's goal. It's not the first time this season that the academy graduate has put in such a woeful display. Last month's shocker against Manchester United is still fresh in the memory, and while performances like this are not a weekly occurrence, they do happen too often. Aston Villa's best attacking moments came down Alexander-Arnold's flank on Wednesday night, for example. Critics will point to the potential Real Madrid move and wonder whether it is impacting his concentration and application, while it does give credence to a growing thought that Liverpool could in fact be more rounded with Conor Bradley as first-choice right-back. The team would certainly miss Alexander-Arnold's creativity and defence-splitting passes, but it would at least have its defensive Achilles heel removed. That's a problem for the summer and beyond. But the immediate concern remains ensuring those creaks in Liverpool's backline aren't exposed again in the final months of the campaign. Liverpool news and transfers live. Florian Wirtz interest. Mohamed Salah deal close. Núñez plan Liverpool news and transfers live after the Reds moved 11 points clear in the Premier League title race. Darwin Núñez is linked with an exit, while Arne Slot will get signings. Liverpool extended its lead at the summit of the Premier League table by beating Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium for the first time since 2018. Mohamed Salah and Dominic Szoboszlai scored the goals in a convincing victory for Arne Slot's men. With Arsenal losing to West Ham United earlier in the weekend, the Reds knew a win would make a substantial gap even larger in the standings, and with Salah on the field, it was always likely to go that way. If you play away at the Etihad, if you win there, it is always a big win no matter what the league table looks like, Slot said during his post-match press conference. If you play away from home against a Pep Guardiola team, it is almost impossible to have more ball possession than his team has. We knew we had to defend a lot, and that's what we did really well. And then some good moments in the counter-attack led to us winning the game. The fans can sing whatever they want. I think they've sung it for quite long already. But we know as a team how hard we have to work for every single win. It was only 3 days ago somebody asked me if we'd had a dip on Wednesday. I don't believe that, as well as I am calm now about this win. Follow the latest Liverpool transfer news in our live blog below. We'll bring you all the best reaction after the Reds won 2-0 away at Manchester City. Castello Luqueba contact Liverpool has made contact for the potential signing of RB Leipzig defender Castello Luqueba, according to Sky Sports in Switzerland. It suggested that the Reds, along with Manchester United and Chelsea, have had scouts keeping an eye on the 22-year-old, with positive reports being sent back. What's more, contact is already said to have been established with all 3 clubs, although they will have to fork out a large amount to secure his signing. Luqueba is reported to have a release clause of nearly 94 million, 90 millions, in his contract, which could make things more difficult. Real Madrid asks for Alexander-Arnold favor. Real Madrid already has a summer agreement in place for Trent Alexander-Arnold, according to Spanish outlet Real Madrid Confidential. However, the La Liga giant may need to ask a favor of Liverpool first. It's claimed that Real will follow the same plan it has used with previous free agent signings, including Kylian Mbappe and David Alaba, meaning it will hold off on any announcements until the end of the season, out of respect to Liverpool. However, it's also suggested that the Reds may be asked to release Alexander-Arnold from his contract early, so that he can join up with his new teammates. Los Blancos will be involved in the revamped Club World Cup, which begins on June 14th. 2 weeks before the right-back's contract at Anfield expires. Matheus Cunha, on Liverpool's radar. Matheus Cunha is on Liverpool's radar, journalist Graham Bailey has told Rousing the Cop. It's suggested that the Wolves star will be in contention for a summer move to Anfield, although the Reds will have to fork out a large fee. Atfa Cunha signed a new contract earlier this month. It's thought that the new deal contains a 78 million, 62 release clause, and plenty of other clubs are said to be interested. Court officials claim that Tottenham, PSG, Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal and Aston Villa are all in the running. Troy Deeney snubs Salah again. Despite another sensational performance against Manchester City, Mohamed Salah has been snubbed by Troy Deeney, yet again. The former Watford striker overlooked the Liverpool talisman in his Team of the Week for BBC Sport, instead picking Brentford's Brian Mbeumo on the right of his front 3. It's not the first time Deeney has had some, shall we say, questionable opinions on Salah, having claimed just a few months ago that the Egyptian wasn't world-class. Those comments are looking worse and worse as the season goes on. Florian Wirtz. Interest Manchester City is seeking to sign Florian Wirtz this summer, according to the Daily Mail. Liverpool has been linked with the Bayer Leverkusen star in the past, and is mentioned as being in the running for his signature, along with Real Madrid. City, though, may hold an advantage, with Leverkusen also said to be eyeing up James McAtee, after making a formal approach in January, only to be rebuffed by City. Transfer plans progress. Fabrizio Romano has revealed Liverpool has identified one area it wants to strengthen this summer in the transfer market. I can confirm once again to you that Liverpool are really advancing in the process to identify the centre-back they want to sign in the summer, the content producer said on his YouTube channel. Liverpool will go for an important centre-back in an internal meeting they had with Richard Hughes, with people in the board involved and Arne Slot too. They all agree on bringing in an important centre-back in the summer transfer window. Liverpool could have given itself a Champions League advantage. While Pep Guardiola's claim that Liverpool has not suffered from injuries at all this season is simply untrue, and even if it were, it would not be entirely down to good fortune. Arne Slot has done a good job of keeping his roster as fresh as possible, and that could help in some other competitions too. What Liverpool have done now is put themselves in a position where they can maybe not take their foot off the gas, but certainly be able to manage the squad even more around the Champions League knockout games. Ben Dinnery from Premier Injuries has told Liverpool.com on behalf of Bet Ideas. All of these things are coming together, and hopefully for Liverpool supporters that's going to reap the rewards. Just from a very basic standing, if you play more games, the chances of you picking up more injuries increases. That comes with European football, and we have seen that with teams outside of the Big Six with squads not big enough to handle it. The data is there to support the fact that once you are in European competition, you get more injuries. On average, it is around 10 extra injuries per season. Post-match verdict. Was Liverpool fortunate to escape with all 3 points from the Etihad? That might seem like an odd question, given how calm the final stages were, but had Jeremy Doku managed to exploit Trent Alexander-Arnold's defensive deficiencies, it could have been a very different game. When could Liverpool be crowned champions? That might feel a bit presumptuous, but Liverpool fans are lying if they try and pretend the thought hasn't crossed their minds. Incredibly, it could come against one of the Reds' biggest rivals. Hard-earned 3 points. More from McAllister. He has posted a photo on social media showing his battle scars from the win over City. The midfielder was involved in a collision with Omar Marmoush and, although he was able to continue, came out the game bit battered and bruised.